So, very good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Let's have tradition of starting the program in time. Uh, I would like to welcome all the participants and the presenters. On behalf of IEEE Karachi section, we started this IEEE talk series. Actually, the series is called Indigenous Research Outcome to Impact Industry and Society. And then we got some requests from different universities that some of the project proposals calls are there. So it would be good to organize the writing a successful funding proposal. So that's why this has been organized, and we received a very good response. And let me, before I invite for opening remarks Professor Dr. Bushra Mirza Sahiba, let me request our Dr. Iftikhar Sato to recite few verses from Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Jazakallah, thank you very much. And I think from the ORIC office of Lahore College of Women University, I saw someone join. Please share your screen. I think Madam is there. So I think, okay. Okay, let me unmute the mic. I think Madam also joined as well. Dr. Bushra Mirza, let me find and unmute, make her presenter. 1 minute, I just Bush Madam's. I don't know, Madam is joining from ORIC office or Madam is there. Let me allow unmute and let me allow make presenter. Okay, so I think now Madam can unmute the mic. Still voice is not coming. Dr. Fahim, can you direct ORIC mic is unmute? Let me unmute this as well. Can you?
Yes, now I can.
All right, Madam. Okay, right. Okay, thank you so much. Very warm welcome to this program, this seminar, which is one of the IEEE Karachi section. I am Dr. Bhavani. I am the chair IEEE Karachi section, and we have got 31 student chapters as well. It is one of the world's largest professional body, having more than 400,000 members worldwide, and it is publishing 40% of the research material. Even the Wi-Fi today we are using, it's a IEEE standard. So one can know the professional role of IEEE. And good news is that Pakistan in this region is having three major sections: Karachi, Islamabad, Lahore, and then there are subsections in Bawalpur, Quetta, and more sections are being opening up for the professional development and getting benefit from IEEE's experience. So on that IEEE Karachi section, I warmly welcome Madam Dr. Bushra Mirza Sahaba, and we would like to hear your opening remarks. Over to Madam Professor Dr. Bushra Sahaba.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for arranging this seminar for research writing skills improvement of our faculty and young researchers. Of course, I'm very much familiar with IEEE and Vani Saab, with your organization and the efforts you are making in the field. It's very well known because I personally have been involved with ATC at different capacities for funding of conferences and workshops and so on. And I have been familiar with the activities you people have been conducting, and no doubt you have been doing a wonderful job. And I'm so pleased that our organization is collaborating with your efforts, and so it's going to definitely be very fruitful for us, particularly to most likely attract more fundings for our university and our researchers. So I can see representation from HEC as well, and some very eminent people. So I'm so very glad to bring HEC and IEEE and so senior people home to LCWU. So it's an honor for us being part of this initiative, and I'm sure it's going to be very productive and very fruitful. And in the long run, we do look forward to have such collaborative efforts in future as well. And particularly at this moment, I would like my faculty and my students who are being part of this conference to make most of it, and because it's a wonderful opportunity for them, and I'm sure they will have a lot to learn from you people, and that will be able to initiate some good proposals for long-term collaborations in research as well. So thank you very much. I'm so proud of our team, including DFDI and ORIC, for being part of it to develop this type of collaboration, because nowadays in today's world you cannot do any sort of research without collaboration. So you need to know and learn from the people working in different areas, in different aspects, in different capacities. So here I can see, people from different areas being part of this initiative, which is, wonderful. So thank you very much, and I highly appreciate the organizers and, of course, the resource person for being a source of inspiration and knowledge for our faculty. Thank you, Ji. And I look forward to future such events as well. So anything we can do from our side, we are always willing, because we know we are going to get a lot of benefit from it. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you very much, madam. Let me share with everyone that this workshop, all the initiative came from your side. I heard the request that LC Women University from your side that you would like to have some speaker on that one. So I thought, to arrange under IEEE platform, and I'm grateful to Madam Anjam Tahara. She all the time coordinated. I've been sending a lot of messages, and she has been replying that, because usually I'm towards more information should be reached in time, and everything should be as perfect as we can have. So that's why sometimes I do follow a bit more on these things. And as madam has already mentioned, that one of the very senior Director General, whatever today we are hearing about Grant Challenge Fund, Local Challenge Fund, being a member in commission, we really, on the record, appreciated the efforts of Dr. Zainul Abdin. He brought all those proposals with such a wonderful evaluation and all these things. So really, we would like, I'm grateful that he is with us today. He has given his consent, though he was in the meeting when I sent a message and called, and then I said, I would like you to be there. And he said, yes, I'm really happy. So I would like to invite, we are having a little bit change in schedule because Dr. Zain Saab is having another meeting. So let me invite him to give us more information about research grants opportunities. Over to Professor Dr. Zainul Abdin Saab.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bhavani Shankar Saab. And I should also thank Dr. Bushra, who has been a very eminent follower of our activities and supporter of our activities as well, actually. So let me share my screen so that, let's see. So what I wanted to share with the colleagues and the participants of this meeting is to introduce some of our grant initiatives. And at the same time, I wanted to share some of the experiences that we had in our last year of processing of our calls as well, actually. So let me first give you a overview of our R&D framework. So the way we have structured our grants programs is that we have actually divided them into these four blocks actually. And you can see that we have tried to kind of cover all the major aspects that one could actually cover within a research framework actually. So you can see that we have the basic research, we have the applied research, we have programs which are targeting more like unsolicited proposals actually, which are not maybe we don't want to subscribe those ideas from our side. But at the same time, we also wanted to have uh, programs which are more focusing towards some strategic areas, and some of those areas could also be need driven actually, and they solve some of our problems that we are facing at maybe our national level or local level. So you might be familiar with our kind of a traditional program, national research program for universities. What we have done is that we have kind of reformed this program and revamped it so that it covers both the basic research requirements as well as applied research. And this one is more of an unsolicited area actually. So anybody who comes up with a research idea, they can actually propose and get funding through this particular program actually. So we have just allocated funding between the basic and the applied research concepts here actually. Then we have some other programs that we have introduced during the last year or so, and the biggest one is called the Grand Challenge Fund, where our intention was that we should focus on some of the strategic research directions that we are facing, or we expect that we should actually focus on those areas in the near, you can say 3 to 5 years duration down the line actually. So these are mostly related to national problems that our country is facing, and we would like to solve those problems together with our academic community and also other stakeholders as well actually. Then we have the Local Challenge Fund, and this program is typically oriented towards solving local level or level problems actually. And we wanted that our universities, they should actually get be a kind of a knowledge hub for their surrounding geographical area actually, and they should be very much geared up of all the related problems that are kind of existing in their geographical surroundings. So this is a program that should fund initiatives which are more locally relevant actually. Then you might be also aware that we have a number of issues, especially related to our industrial segment. And one of the major problems that we are facing right now is kind of our competitiveness in terms of the global market. And because of that, we are actually reducing our export potential, and also we want to substitute our imports as well actually. So if we are producing those products indigenously, we'll be very much able to lower our import budget as well actually. So this is a program which we call Technology Transfer Support Fund, and this is oriented towards promoting academic and industrial collaboration actually. So let me give you some more details about these programs in a few slides. So this is the Grand Challenge Fund, as I've already mentioned, that this is one of the biggest program that we have launched, a competitive grant program that we have launched at HEC actually. I mean, in all of the history of HEC's existence, and each grant value can go up to around 200 million rupees actually. And the main objective was to stimulate collaborative and interdisciplinary research, actually. So this is not a single university project, actually. It's more like a collaborative effort where multiple universities and multiple academics actually they collaborate to solve a particular problem actually. And that problem, we have defined some of these strategic priority areas. You can already see these are kind of bigger challenges actually that are well known in our national scenario actually. Some of these problems are not only relevant for our national needs, but they are globally relevant as well actually. So through this program, we would also like to see collaboration within the our universities at the national level, but we are also allowing and promoting potential collaborations at international level as well actually. So these are the major themes of this program, but then there are some sub themes which typically we change in every year actually. So some of these themes are for the last year, sub themes I would say. And then this year we will be announcing the launch of this program in a couple of weeks. So then you will see some more details, sub themes in that program, and we have done a very rigorous exercise along with the help of our expert panels to actually come up with those themes actually. So as I've already mentioned that this program is intended for a consortium based grant where the main applicant or the lead partner should come from a research intensive university, but then they can collaborate with other research intensive or even non-research intensive universities. And they should find some kind of a complementary expertise and cross-disciplinary expertise amongst their team, actually. We are also promoting collaborations with industry, other public sector authorities, and even private sector authorities as well, actually. This program, as the volume is much bigger, so we have actually also stage it in three stages, where first you are going to submit a project outline, which is a very brief concept paper of your idea actually. We will do some evaluation of that, and based on that we will select the ideas that we think are more suitable for that particular year of call actually. And then we will request you to submit a full project proposal. Those full project proposals will go through a very rigorous peer review cycle, and the ones which are selected there, they will be called to present their idea in front of a high level expert panel actually. And finally, the ones which actually are recommended by those the expert panel, they will then be awarded the projects. The maximum project duration is 3 years, and typically we are expected to grant around 15 projects per year actually. And I've, as one of the kind of organizers of this event is Lahore College of Women. So I would also like to say here that in all of our grant opportunities, we are very much encouraging female participation, not only at as a team member, but also to take a lead and to be the PIs of those projects. And we have a criteria where we give some additional kind of preference to female participants as well. The next program is the Local Challenge Fund, and as I've already mentioned that this grant is focused towards solving problems at a district level or a local setting actually. Again, this is a cross-disciplinary research program where we are focusing towards solving problems related to the SDGs. SDGs, if you are familiar, these are Sustainable Development Goals that have been subscribed by United Nations. And right now we are in the phase where up till 2030, we need to reach some of the targets that have been set by the United Nations actually. So the idea behind this program is that if our universities can undertake research initiatives so that can help the provincial and even the federal government in actually achieving or some of those targets, or at least moving forward in some of those targets actually. Again, the grant value is around 65 million rupees, which is a substantial amount for uh, let's say universities. Here, our idea is that we will have two elements of this in from this year actually, where one of the element is we will require the lead partner to come from non-research intensive universities, whereas on the other case it will be from a research intensive university actually. So there will be some kind of a twinning between the research intensive versus the non-research intensive universities, so that there is a capacity building element built into this program as well. We are also encouraging our PIs and researchers that they should seek co-funding and complementary financing possibilities with maybe national, with some of their local government or district or provincial governments as well. Actually. I think I've already mentioned about the consortium related requirements for this particular program. This program is processed in two stages. The first stage is actually about similarly to the GCF, we require the project outline, which is a kind of a project idea of your research project. And then the ones which will get through the project outline stage, they will be required to submit a full project proposal stage. This particular program is of a 2 years duration, so each project that you submit, it has to be finished or completed within 2 years time actually. And we are expected to grant around 20 projects per year within the local challenge fund. And again, female participation is very much encouraged actually. The next program that I have mentioned is the Technology Transfer Support Fund. Here, the main emphasis is that if you have already done some research work within your lab and you have come up with the idea that you feel is very much ready to be commercialized and maybe transferred to the industry actually, this is a program that will support you to collaborate with the industrial partner and to actually take the last step in transferring that technology to the industry actually. And as a measure of interest of the industrial partner, what we will require is that you will have to have 50% of the matching funding supported by the industrial partner. So whatever fund we will be providing to you, there has to be a commitment by the industrial partner that they will co-fund that activity up to 50% of that funding level actually. And that funding can be either in cash or in kind as well actually. Again, this is a 2 years project, and we are expected to grant around 20 projects per year within this program as well actually. Now let me also give you an overview of how we manage our research grants, as I mean the review and also the future steps that are going to be taken in terms of the processing of the grants actually. So what we have done is that we have actually constituted these scientific review panels. And the main concept behind the establishment of these panels was to ensure the quality of assessment. And that means that we are not the ones who actually design kind of choose who is going to review which particular project. It's up to the scientific panels and their respective tiers actually, who decide that this particular project and should go to a particular expert who really they believe that he is the expert in that particular field, and that expert can be from Pakistan, within Pakistan, or outside of Pakistan as well actually. Then we also ensure that we have a very transparent system, and I'll give you a brief kind of a recap of one of our IT system that we have also developed during the last 1.5 year or so. And that system gives a very transparent view of all the processing that we are doing for our research applications actually, from the submission of applications until the award process, and later on we are now developing the post award management steps within the same portal as well actually. So every step that is being performed and in that portal, that is being recorded digitally with the timestamp on that portal actually. We are also very much concerned about the objectivity in reviewing our research grants actually. So we have a very tiered model of reviewing our applications actually. So initially there is administrative level scrutiny that is being performed at HEC level actually, where we typically look at the eligibility criteria of each one of our grant programs. Then it goes up to our program chair actually, who looks at the relevance of that application within that particular program. And then once he is satisfied with that, then that goes to the panel chairs actually, who can then even have the possibility of shortlisting or that application at that stage. But if they are convinced that this is a good enough application, then it will go to the panel members and to the external reviewers, who will then be involved in the peer review of those applications. And once those reviews are performed, they will again go back to the panel chair actually, where it is discussed in a panel meeting, and that during that panel meeting the final decisions are made, and then they are passed to the program chair. And then we, in case of our multidisciplinary programs, we also have a step where we involve all the panel chairs and the program chair actually in selecting the final projects that they feel are good enough for that particular program. And another objective of all this initiative was to ensure efficiency as well actually. We have witnessed in our history that due to a number of, due to the workload in terms of managing thousands of applications, sometimes our review cycle goes into more than a year or so actually. What we have done during the last year is that we have managed to complete the complete review cycles within 3 to 4 months of receiving of our applications. And then depending on each stage of these programs that I've mentioned actually. These review panels are again much broader in their domains actually. So you can see that all of the major research areas are covered within these research domains. So these are agriculture sciences, arts and humanities, biological and health sciences, management sciences, education and HR, engineering and technology, mathematical and physical sciences, and then finally social and economic sciences. So this is another view of how we process our applications actually. So you can see here, these are the disciplinary panels, we have the program chairs, and then we have different programs that are processed by these panels. And some of these programs are more of a disciplinary nature actually, where each application is when they submit your application, you choose which particular panel or discipline you would like to apply to your application, and that already directly goes to that particular panel actually. But there are programs such as GCF, TTSF, and LCF, and this was another program that we actually just finished last year, which was a bilateral program with British Council. So in these programs, you can see that there is a multidisciplinary approach in reviewing those applications as well, actually. So there might be application which covers more than one panel actually. So then what we do is that we assign that applications to the other panels as well actually, and but it has to be based on a primary discipline and then some secondary disciplines. So the way it is done is that each of those secondary disciplines also contribute their reviews to for a particular application actually. And then based on the collection of the input from all the panels, the final decision of that application has been done. So you can see that it's a very elaborate process actually, which tries to ensure all of these qualitative aspects that I've mentioned previously actually. And this is the grant framework that I've just mentioned, the IT solution that I've just mentioned actually. So this is a system that we have developed during the last year or so. It's research.hec.gov.pk. And if you are familiar with applying your grant applications during the last 1.5 years or so, you must have been familiar with this system as well, actually. So all of our applications are being received at this system, actually. Then all the complete review process is managed through this system. And later on, the decisions are also being communicated through this system. And we have well-defined templates for each one of our programs, for not only for the application submissions, but also for the review process as well, actually. So there are detailed evaluation rubrics that are already shared for each one of those programs that are available to the applicants so that they can see on which criteria their applications will be assessed actually. And those criterias are then used by the external reviewers and even our panel members during the review cycle as well actually. So I think I'll finish my talk here, but I'll also wanted to share some of my experiences from the last year that we have processed our applications actually. And let me, because this is a particular workshop that is planned for the proposal writing and how to improve your proposal writing skills actually. So I'd also like to share with you that one of the things that we have experienced during our last year of processing of our applications is that people have not focused on a couple of things actually, even though they have good ideas that they wanted to pitch to us. And those things are that they have sometimes, in some cases, they have not done a very thorough literature review actually of the state of the art, which sometimes hints to a weakness of the application as well as the researcher as well actually. And then the way you present how your idea can actually lead to a impact on maybe on societal impact or on socio-economical impact actually. So these are some of the things that are very important actually for us to understand the significance of your idea and your application actually. So I would very much like to emphasize that when you are writing your applications, please be very clear about these two aspects. And at the same time, you must understand that our reviewers and the panels, they they don't have time to go through maybe 20 or 30 pages of um, your text actually. So you have to provide the crust of your application, the idea in a very concise way as well actually. So, and that's a very difficult challenge, and it's not typically done if you write it only once actually. So you have to also think about sharing your draft application with your peers and getting feedback internally so that you can improve your drafts before you submit to HEC actually. So I would very much encourage here the representatives of OREX as well as the senior faculty members that who, if they can also support their junior colleagues so that they can improve their applications through the internal processes actually before they submit to HEC actually. And another aspect that we have also felt that was a bit different. So one of the things that we have done during the last 1.5 years is that we have also revised the financial rules and the financial model of our HEC grants as well, actually. And some of those rules are very much linked to how much effort and how much time each researcher and the students and other team members spent in that particular project. Actually. And what we felt is that some people had difficulty in filling the budget in the correct form, actually. That is something that we have done workshops during the last year multiple times in order to introduce some of those changes. But we have also felt that that is something that is also needs to be improved actually. And again, I don't expect that those changes will our faculty members and researchers will be very much geared up in the very first instance of these grant applications. But I think from this year onward, we will expect that all of these things are submitted in a very mature manner actually once they reach us. And I think here the OREX and institutional support within the universities, they need to be very much strengthened actually. And we have Dr. Shankar has already aware that we have recently revised our OREX policy as well actually. And this is one thing that has been very much emphasized in that policy as well actually. So with that, I think I'll like to end my talk. I am I can take a couple questions actually before I leave because I have to attend a meeting which is just scheduled actually just recently. So,
Dr. Saab, thank you very much because it's a Friday and people will have to go for prayers. And I'm really grateful that I think from more than 15 institutions, they are connected today with us and all these details will be available. Since all the mics are mute to have a clear conversation of the speakers, so I would suggest they should text all their question in the box and we will provide them participation certificates from IEEE. And those who are asking questions, we will even give those who are really good questions 10 rewards from IEEE as well. So everyone is encouraged to ask as many questions, whatever queries they have. I think that is what is the importance of seminar is. So I'm once again grateful, and I think because of the Friday prayers now, It's time to invite our today's speaker who has to, I think, whatever suggestions and tips and
Dr.
guidelines.
If I may interrupt, because I had the ability of unmuting my mic. So if I could use that to quickly ask Dr. Zainul Abidin one question. Would that be
Quick
possible?
is 1 minute only, because otherwise so many others will be okay. 1 minute.
Yes, that's what I
And
said.
1 minute answer, because I don't.
I had the ability of unmuting, so I quickly made use of the opportunity. I'll briefly introduce myself. I'm Dr. Akshay Shabir, Director, Audit, Lahore College for Women University. So it's not really a question, it's more like a request that we are more or less aware of these major grant sources which HEC sponsors: GCF, LCF, NRPU, TTSF. However, I think it will be very helpful for the faculty if, let's say, we also have a tentative calendar that, for instance, when do we expect the next call for GCF or next call for LCF? Because somehow it's not that it's always the same time of the year each year. So because I've seen this trend amongst faculty that even though they're thinking all the time that they want to apply for NRPU, but they actually start preparing once HEC gives out the call. And then they usually typically have
suggestion well taken. Suggestion well taken. Even I put in the commission meeting. Okay, Dr. Sab, is a good suggestion. Good suggestion. But you can give more suggestion. I am there. On behalf of HEC, I will pass on and I will get a response from as well. Because I don't want to miss the other aspect of the seminar. So because whatever Dr. Zainul Abidin Saab has mentioned, and now how to be a successful. So we would like to hear Dr. Iftikhar Ali, who is an associate professor at the Department of Textile Engineering, Mehran University, which is my university as well, my alma mater. He did his PhD in 2015 from Hanyang University, Korea, in nanomaterials. He has authored more than 50 international peer-reviewed research publications, and his cumulative impact factor is more than 200. I think it's a very such short time. I don't know. I'm right, Professor. I'm right as well. I don't think impact factor, because up to 2010 we were not knowing, about that very much. But good news is here that now I'm having some publication of 10 impact factor last month. One of my paper of NCRA lab, which is again supported by HEC, on railway track conditioning, one paper published having 9.92 impact factor on IoT IEEE transaction. So now I'm also catching the race as well. So he received Best Research Paper Award by HEC in 2017-18. Again, that is another very good HEC incentive. He's a co-PI of 3 NRPU projects and Pakistan Science Foundation projects. So let's warmly welcome Dr. Iftikhar Ali, because we are having Friday today prayers. We have to finish before 1 a.m. So over to you, Dr. Iftikhar Ali.
Thank you very much, sir. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm very thankful to you, all the organizers, and all the participants who are here. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to share my experience, what I have as a researcher for writing some of the proposals, getting some funding, and then going on with the projects also. Because initially we write a lot of proposals and we try to get some funding for our labs and trying to build some, establishing some of the labs. But eventually when we get into these projects, try to run these projects for our first year, second year, and even third years, we face some of the difficulties. So I will try to compile my talk in 1 hour. I'll focus on how we can write the proposals. Then we will go into some of the case studies, some of the little mistakes that we do while we are writing proposals, because I'm also a reviewer for the PSF, NRPUs and other projects. So we will be considering some of the case studies, some of the small mistakes that we make and we do not realize initially when we are writing for the proposals. And later on, we will be talking about some of the tips that we should consider while we are writing the proposals. So I have currently 3 ongoing
Sir,
NRQ projects. I've
you
completed.
can put into power presentation mode. Would you like?
Yes, sir,
Perfect.
I've already done it.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yes, sir. Thank you for pointing that out, sir. So currently I'm having 3 NRPU projects. I have already done 2 projects prior to these, but these are my current projects. I'm PI in a project which is currently in its 3rd year, and I have 2 projects as co-PI also. So we should have a purpose when we are trying to write a research proposal initially, and that purpose could be coming from different directions. For example, we are writing a proposal for a postgraduate, a master's, or something like this. So at that particular time, we are not sure that we'll be getting some funding for that, or we are only writing it for the completion of the degree program for the students. So it could be one of the purpose. But today we'll be focusing on a proposal that we write for particular some funding, as like HEC is helping us to get for some of the NRPU, GCF, TTS, as mentioned by Dr. Zainul Abdin. So we write that for funding, and nowadays we get very good honorarium, very handsome honorarium, because I'm having 3 projects, so I know that it's good to have these projects for yourself, because you have the thing that you are making a bit more from these projects also. So we write that for funding. Now we get these funding for ourselves also, but then we can also establish some of the labs. We can add more to the current labs that we have, because I remember that when I came back after completion of my PhD, I was looking at my schedule that I have for the undergraduate and the postgraduate classes, and I complained to my chairman at that time that I do not find a lot of space for doing some research in my lab, because usually when we are doing PhD, we have the habit of doing the things by our own hands. So when we apply for certain funding, we should remember, we should have this thing in our mind, that it is of course the time for you to do the things by yourself. But now at this stage, if you get 1 hour or 2 hours a day, that's enough for you, because you have to transfer all those skills that you've learned during and after your PhD to the students. So there is no need that you go to the lab and work all the day, work till evenings and night, but you have the space. So we write these funding to get some of these space, so that our students can easily get to that space and work till evenings, and they can also work independently. Because when you have your own lab, when you are trying to establish or adding more to a lab, you have independency. You can also do that for consultancy. So you should start with the purpose. Now, a lot of people currently are doing it for funding and for establishing labs and for consultancy also. But the background should be that we get all these inspirations from either the industry or the society. So when we are trying to complete or write a project, then we should, at the end of the day, ask questions from ourselves, that whatever we have mentioned in our proposal, does that reflect that what we wanted to do, as also mentioned by Dr. Zainul Abdin, that it should be very concise, it should be very much planned, that how do you plan to do that particular thing. Of course, we write a lot of things. For example, I'm working on graphene. People call graphene as wonder material, but of course that it is not the only reason that graphene is wonder material. So I should compile all my research proposal based on graphene. I should get inspiration from the society or the industry. And finally, I have a slide which shows the role of the university. So I'll be concluding with that role of the university. How can we better get in touch with the industry and the society also? So you have to see that we write the cost, and we are trying to write a good budgeting, because SCC has also, as mentioned by Dr. Zainul Abdin, they have also provided us the rubrics against which we, the reviewers and we, the authors, should write and review these proposals. So how much time it will take? Either it will take 12 months, or 24 months, or 36 months, because the maximum time that we are allowed from HEC is 36 months. So we should limit ourselves to that 36 months, and we should write a concise proposal that that must be reflected in the proposal itself, that we are going to complete that in particular time that we have mentioned in our proposal. Then we have to relate with the sponsor's interest, and it is already laid down by the Higher Education Commission when they are trying to provide us the information about the different funding opportunities that they give us. In GSF it is different, in NRPUs it is different. We see that a lot of thematic funding is also available. So in that particular thing, we see that the sponsor's interest is something different. So we should match our interest with the sponsor's interest. Then we have to see that our university, our students, our particular discipline, our nation, and the other concerned parties to these particular proposals are concerned to what difference it's going to make. What difference our university will have if we have a lot of funding? Are we going to create a lot of labs? Are we going to create a lot of knowledge? And are we going to transfer these skills and knowledge gained through these projects to the students or not? Because we have to pay back to the society, we have to pay back to the industry. And as professors, as the researchers, we should train these students to give it back to the industry. So we should reflect these things in our projects also. Then we have to do critical thinking, that these proposals are only the problems of the industry. These proposals are only the problems of the society, not ourselves as researchers. Then how the results will be evaluated, you have to write. If you are trying to make a prototype or trying to suggest something out of your proposal, then you have to write at the end that how these results will be evaluated. Now, how do we start writing proposals, good proposals, I say, because we have to go back to the industry and the society and see what challenges are being faced by the industry and society. So just a few minutes ago, as I gave you the example that I cannot write all my proposals based on the vendor material that on which I'm doing research, because if it is not the problem faced by the industry, or my material that's on which I'm working that cannot make a difference on the society and the industry, then I should not use that particular theme for my research. Then you have to see that can you transfer all these skills to the students that you will learn or will make during the proposal, and that's your purpose. You have to teach these students. Then you have to transfer the students all those skills and provide the solution to the industry. So you have to base your research proposal on the challenges faced by the industry, your skills, how you can actually transform your skills into finding solution to something. So these are the four basic things that must be reflecting all the time from your proposal. After every second or third page, wherever it is necessary, you should make it reflective, that when a person or when a reviewer is trying to review your proposal, then he or she might be looking at that you have correctly identified the problem of the society, you're proposing something based on your skills, and you're trying to teach or train these students and giving back to the industry. You should have these dissemination activities so that whatever you have gathered through your proposal or your complete funding, that you are going to transfer back to the industry also. Now, what does the funding project cover? These days, it is salaries of the PI and co-PI, stipends for the bachelor's, master's, and doctoral students, travel to national and international conferences, equipment purchase and maintenance. So these are some of the things that are covered by the funded projects. So we need to focus on these things. Then what are the general contents of a proposal for funding? Nowadays, as we all know, that we are offered NRPUs. So we will be studying a little more about the NRPUs, and these are the general contents. So in generally, we write summary of the project, we write introduction, We focus on research questions and problem statements. We write our objectives, methodology, budget, and the team that we have as principal investigators, co-principal investigators, the research students that we engage in our proposals. So these are the general contents. So we'll be discussing about how can we write more effective of these contents. Now, as we have an open call for NRPU and more or less 20 days are still in our hands. So in NRPUs, the contents are more or less similar, but we'll be definitely focusing on the contents that we now have for NRPU, and we'll be seeing that what academic collaborators and what sectorial collaborators are required when we are writing our proposals, how can we meet the implementation timeline, what is the risk management strategy, and how do we compose our research proposal based on all these contents that we get from HEC. Now, initially, we need to write summary, and then it is followed by the introduction. Now, summary or the digest or even an abstract for your research proposal that you're writing, make it simple, but put some measurable numbers. You have to compare what you're thinking, and you have to compare if you have some certain numbers, if you have certain percentage of the thing that you think that you will be successful doing that. So apart from that, when we are writing introduction, that could be more descriptive. You can add more charts and graphs. You can add a lot of knowledge into this, but the focus should be that you have highlighted the problem correctly that was faced by the industry or the society, and then the problem that you are providing will help definitely the socio-economic development of this country in particular, and definitely overall in the world maybe. So a digest could be like very concise, and your introduction could be a little more adding this. So if we see what contents your summary should have, it must contain certain sufficient background to understand the problem under investigation, because initially when HEC is doing some of the desk reviews, it definitely comes in across the summary that you have written. So you should highlight the problem. You must state some of the experimental methods in definitely a paragraph or so, in a few lines that you have correctly identified, and these are the methods that you are going to follow to actually see the problem or to solve the problem. Then some of the expected results from your proposal, that these are the expected results. Definitely at the time of writing proposal, you do not have completely complete results in your hand, but you are expecting some of the results, that these are the results that you expect from your applied or basic research for whatever you're writing proposals. And then you should explain how this will contribute towards the socio-economic development. So you should have these 4 parts in your summary precisely, so that it can be easily reviewed initially. Then the introduction part, you have a longer introduction part. You can, as I mentioned, that you can put some graphs, you can put some charts, you can give a lot of detailed information. But in this part, write it like a story. Started with the proposed study, go into the area concerned that you are targeting with the problem statement, then put more emphasis on the literature review. It was also mentioned by the representative from HEC that we are not trying to focus on what previously people have done, because we have a lot of researchers around that are doing research in this whole world. But we try to mention what the knowledge we have, because sometimes we try to write the proposals at very end of the deadline. So we consider that, okay, we can do it very quickly and we will write a literature review, but that's not very much related. So you give more focus on the literature review and what people are doing currently in our field, highlighting the gaps and your intention. But write it like a story. You start from the proposed study and give your intention how you are proposing to solve the problem. Then we have to write the problem statement within this introduction section, and you can mention it afterwards also, because you wish to highlight the problem that is faced by the industry and in the society. So you need to state the problem faced by the industry or society, not the researchers, because I'm doing a lot of research on few things, but if they are not very much feasible for the industry to work on in the future, maybe in the next 5 or 10 years, then they are of no use. It may not be the reason because I am only the person in this world or in this country that is doing research on that particular thing. You should get more focus with the industrial problem. So in that particular thing, you have to meet with the industry representative, go into the society, look for the problems, and then you have to get that into written from the industry also. When we are getting something written by the industrial partner or the sectorial collaborator. Now, the HEC also defines NRPU very similar to that. They say that National Research Program for Universities is a flagship research program for a high level funding, and you need to have relevance and impact to the local industry and the society. So they've mentioned it very much clearly within the definition of this NRPU research proposal, that you should find solutions to the local industry and the society. Then we write the objectives, because writing the introduction part is not very complicated, but we should focus on the very relevant and very new research that people have done within your proposed area, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. So you should see the latest references. And then, so when we are writing objectives, we are very particular with these objectives, because these objectives should be smart. People must see that these objectives are achievable. So you start with the aims that are compatible with the requested proposal duration, because if you're writing a proposal for 24 months or you're writing a proposal for 36 months, then you should be very specific that a reviewer can see that definitely you can cover up all these objectives. If you have laid down 6 objectives or 3 objectives or 10 objectives, you can actually complete all these objectives within the specified time that you have. So you should reflect in your proposal that I have these 5 or 6 objectives, and I can complete this objective in this quarter. I will be completing this objective in this quarter, so that it becomes easier for the reviewer to understand that you are going to complete all these objectives within certain specified times. Then you have to see the project objectives are achievable. You should write achievable projects. If I say that I'll be launching a spaceship and I'll be reaching the Mars in next 12 months, definitely it may not be possible. So don't write the objectives which the reviewer believes or he or she may consider that these are not achievable within the stipulated time or the time that you have mentioned in your proposal. Then they should be measurable also. At the end of all these objectives, you may write a way that how these objectives will be measurable. How can you become accountable when you are trying to see that a certain objective is complete or not? So do not write too many objectives. Definitely, if you are trying to write for a good proposal, and if you think that I'll be writing more and more objectives, that will be good for the proposal. No, it's not. It's not the case. You have to you should not write many or you should not believe in writing more objectives. Concise your objectives. You can compile 2 or 3 objectives into one, but you have to show that these objectives are relevant to your project, these are achievable, and these are measurable. So you should be well aware of the procurement process of your university institute to meet the timeline, because nowadays it is becoming harder for the researchers to buy or to procure materials, because we are facing a lot of restrictions from FATF that we cannot send the dollars outside and this and that. So there are a lot of things that vary depending upon your institutional capacity also. So definitely the institute should have a seminar for your researchers that these are the ways by which we can procure the material. So before writing the proposal, you should know that this is the procurement process that you have, so that based on this particular procurement process, you design your objectives, that you are going to complete this objective, because we procure machines, we procure chemicals and other things in the applied research, and we should see the timeline that will we be able to buy this machine or procure this machine within the initial 6 months of the project. So you should understand that these are the channels by which we can actually procure the material. So these should be very smart, these should be very specific, relevant, measurable, attainable. You should show the relevancy and time based. So your objectives should be very small, very smart. So when you complete the objectives that you have mentioned in your proposal, just see either they are very specific to your project or not, they are measurable or not. So put some notes underneath the project objectives, that how you're going to attain these, or how you can see that you expect these things to be complete within stipulated time. Now we go into a case study. For example, someone is writing that my objective is to understand the movement related vibrations in the body, measurement using 3D scanners. Now someone is writing this as an objective to understand. Now he or she, or the investigator that is proposing the research, is not mentioning that if he or she wishes to understand the movement related vibrations, how can the reviewer actually examine, or how can the reviewer actually assess that the person has understood the things or not. So do not mention all these very generic form of things. Like the third objective the person has written is to discover further possible applications of 3D scanners. Now he's not mentioning, or she's not mentioning, how these discoveries will be reviewed, how a reviewer at the end of the day will see that the person has discovered further possibilities or not. So do not write such objectives, because these are not measurable, right? And these are not attainable. We are not, the person is not writing that when or at what time the person or the researcher is proposing the research, at what time he will be discovering the further possibilities throughout the proposal, or in first 6 months of the proposal, or the final 6 months of the proposal. So these should be very relevant, very achievable and attainable. Then, for example, the other person who is doing this, it's a bit like a case study. This person is mentioning that the following analysis and characterizations will be done to achieve the objective number 1. So you should be very specific to how you're going to achieve your objective number 1, objective number 2, 3, and so on. So he's writing that he'll be doing some analysis of the yield, and this is the formula for the yield. So he's trying to, maybe in your particular research, you know that how much betterment you can bring in writing your objectives, but these are some of the examples. The second objective is flexibility of a particular non-one web. So he's mentioning that how he will be actually measuring the flexibility, and he's also measuring the standard, that by following this standard, definitely if a person is following a certain standard, the time is mentioned in those particular standards. If the reviewer also knows that particular standard, he knows that this particular test can take 1 hour or 30 minutes or maybe 24 hours or a week. So the reviewer can better actually analyze that the time required to complete this objective is relevant to the proposed project, right? So you should consider writing effective objectives like this, so that you can get better chances of funding. The other example is, for example, someone is asking you, or you were asked in the research proposal about writing the social impact that you may have, or the novelty you may have for your research that you're proposing. So if someone writes that the impact on technical and technological domain is that you are doing certain research and development and your material is novel, but you're not mentioning how we can say it is novel, or how we can say that the research and development that you are carrying is in a particular correct way or not. So you should avoid mentioning all these generic terms. If someone is asking you about to write the impact on technical and technological domain, you only write the research and development and novelty, And if someone asks you that what's the impact of your research for the socio-economic development, you only write that it is indigenous development. Only developing indigenously is not enough. For example, we buy a certain paper that's available from China in 10 rupees, and we are indigenously developing that particular in 200 rupees, so it's not cost effective. So just indigenous development is not one of the factors that defines that you are doing a betterment in the socio-economic development of this country. So you should put more focus on quality improvement and the quality improvement of the already done work, or you're decreasing some costs. So these are the very catchy words, like you are improving, you think that you will be improving the quality of something or reducing the cost of something. You're adding something more to the knowledge that's already established in your field. So you should focus on these, avoid these generic terms. Then we plan or write the methodology. Your methodology should describe the project design, procedures that you're going to follow, the softwares that you're going to use in analyzing certain of your research outcomes, because only writing that we will analyze, of course, if someone asked the reviewer that the proposal writer has mentioned that he will be analyzing the things or not, for that particular instance, it's fine. Okay, the reviewer will say yes, he writes or she writes that she or he will be analyzing the results. But if someone, if the rubric says how he or she will be analyzing the research, what softwares will be used, so you should be like putting more of the focus on in your research that these are the tools that you are going to analyze. These are the softwares that you are going to use for the analysis. So you should be like put a little more focus when you are writing these things. Then your objectives should be describing a methodology for determining the degree to which the project meets its objectives. All the objectives you have already mentioned, these should be synchronized with the methodology that you're writing. So this synchronization is very important. Then the methodology could also contain the experimental section step by step, the material, equipment and methods that you are going to write in your proposal, the testing, measurement, assessment, evaluation, everything depending upon what type of research you're doing. Is it applied or is it any other type of basic research? You should write that how you are going to assess and why you are going to assess or evaluate a certain property or a certain thing. Then you should write where you are going to do it. Either you are going to do it in your own premises, in your university, college, or you are doing it in a certain collaborator's premises, or you are trying to see an academic collaborator to find the solution of that particular measurement or testing. Then we also write a Gantt chart. It is very like generic thing, but we should mention in the Gantt chart that how the timeline we are going to follow depending upon all these methods and methodologies we mentioned in this one. A prior effort is better because when we come up with the team, for example, I am principal investigator of project and I have two co-principal investigators. So I should take into advantage with the skills and the things that my co-PIs and I have, and we should come up on one stage that we are going to compile all these skills that we have for this project. If, for example, I take a co-PI which is not relevant to my project, so I'm just trying to maybe get something out of nothing. Your team must reflect that we all are focusing on these things. So it should be highlighted in your CV. You should mention in your CV, and your CV should also be very concise. HEC has also mentioned it on their website that your CV should not be a complete resume of yours. It should be compiled on only 1 or 2 pages, 2 pages maximum, and you should highlight the skills and you should highlight the previous work that you have done only contributing to this research proposal. Now, for example, I've authored more than 50 publications, but all of them may not contribute to a single proposal that I may write right now or maybe after a month. So I should only reflect all those particular skills that I have to write a proposal that I'm writing now. Do not mention that I have authored some of these books and some of these research papers and some of these workbooks that are actually irrelevant to the proposal. So make it more concise. I was reviewing a CV which was compiled on around 26 or 27 pages, so it becomes harder for the reviewer to actually locate what skills you propose for your particular proposal. So it should be like very clear, very clearly mentioned in your CV, and it should be very concise. Show the participation of the industry, get the industry into the concept when you are writing a research proposal. It should reflect in your proposal that during the concept of this proposal, the industry or the academic collaborator was with you when we were writing the proposal. So it should improve the capacity of Pakistan institutions to support technology commercialization. Definitely when we are getting the industrial partners on platform with ourselves and we are writing the proposals, that means they are very much interested not only in providing us the letters, but in commercializing the things that we propose. And of course, these are of interest to them and the local industry and the society. So the participation from the industry must be reflected not only in terms of letters, but in terms of participation or providing you something in cash or kind, or you should divide the objectives to be achieved at their premises. So that these all should be mentioned very clearly. Then you have to write the project theme. When we are asked to write about the project management in the research proposals, we can actually develop something similar to this, because you are doing your own research. So you should know that how you're going to show that your project management through these people or the personnel that you're trying to get involved in this project are going to work. So this is one of the example. You can write your own. You see that principal investigator is actually engaged with the secretariat staff separately, and there is a team of scientists. Then there is a service team which is based on the postdoctorate or PhD, master's students, and the lab staff. So you should show that you have divided the things very precisely. Like all these things are very clear for the reviewer to understand and to give you better marks, that the project management is in this way. So you can develop your own project management. Like in this one, these are like few people, but you can also involve the management from your university and the procurement department, the director of finance office, and something later to that, which are actually involved in your particular research, the audit office. So you should have something similar to this to show that all these people are involved in your research, and in this way they are involved. Support letter from the collaborators. I'll show you a letter later on in this presentation. That that particular letter is just like very open, but the letters that you get from the collaborators, either from the academic or from the sectorial, may show, or should show, I would say should show, that this particular object will be achieved through these industrial or collaborative sections that you are involving in your research. They are providing you fabric. This is one of the examples. They are providing you certain facilities for measurement or some evaluation or some assessment. They are providing you certain solutions, certain softwares. They're providing you certain personnel. So it should be like very much clearly mentioned. Either just providing an open letter from the industry, just to whom it may concern, it may not be enough when you are asked about providing you good marks on this sectorial collaboration. So this actually shows the interest from the industry, that industry is providing you something in cash or something in kind. So the industry was actually involved with you when you were writing the proposal. So that's why they are providing you few more things, not only the letter. So only providing the letter is not enough. They should be they should show their intention to be involved in this collaboration. This is, for example, one of the letter that I received for review. Now, if you see this example, they say that with regards to the proposal title this being submitted for the National Research Program for Universities, they say, the industry say that we'll be contributing in the form of providing consumables and materials, but we are not told about what consumables and what materials will be provided. So it is an open letter. This could not help you get better chances to get the funding. And finally, they say that in addition to this, our company will extend whatever support is deemed necessary. So whatever support deemed necessary, it will be hard for the reviewer to see that in what capacity they are helping the principal investigator and their team. What particular object is being done at the premises or by the help of this sectorial or industrial partner. So these letters are very generic. These are only obtained when we have the last date to provide or to submit at the HEC portal. So try to avoid these open letters when you are writing the proposals. There should be something similar to this, and you are the best person to see that how your letters, your particular letters will be compiled, but do not or avoid using such type of letters. And in your proposal, everyone must play some part. For example, you are writing objective number 1. You should say that your objective number 1 will be completed by PI and the co-PI and research assistant number 1. So you should have the roles for everyone. It is better. It is actually the improvement in your proposal that you can apply for funding. This will increase the chances of getting the funding. So you should clearly mention the role that's done by you, your co-PI, your second co-PI, activities to be performed by the industry in their own premises or your premises, like they will be providing you some personnel to work in your industry, your premises. Then you have to write what research assistant 1 is doing, what research assistant 2 is doing, because do not overlap that all 2 research assistants will be doing the same thing. Avoid these things, because if you are having 2 research assistants, please give them different directions to work so that the time can be saved. And then you have to write what particular things are to be performed by your support staff that you engage in your research proposal. Okay, now we come up with writing the dissemination activities, because HEC is asking us to provide them that how we are going to provide solutions to the industry and the society. How are we going to write research papers, provide our solutions to the people in some conferences. We are going to have some exhibitions. Now, this is one of the example. I won't say that it is a very good example or it is a bad example. You can judge yourself. But for example, if I ask someone that you are going to have some conference presentation after the results that you get as an outcome of your proposal, definitely you're going to present your research into national and international conference. But if we get a little more focus, then we may write 1 or 2 very common or very famous conferences that take place regularly into your country and internationally. For example, I belong to the field of textile. Now, I know that in National Textile University, they hold COVITEX. So, for example, if I wish to add a little more to these things, to these dissemination activities, or if I want my own activity in my university, calling the people from the industry, I should show it that I have put little more time in writing these dissemination activities. And for example, I target COVITEX, and it's not binding on you that you have to provide your presentation, or you have to present your results in COVITEX every year. But you can mention that there is COVITEX and few more conferences. That actually shows that you have put a little more effort when you are writing the dissemination activities. For example, if you see the publications, they said good quality research articles will also be published. Now, I cannot actually I cannot review or I cannot quantify what do you call good quality research articles. You may mention some impact factor, or you may mention some of the journals of your interest, that these are the journals which publish very similar research to this one. So you will try to publish your work in these journals. Do not, like you say that definitely I'll be submitting my work to these journals, but you should say, you may say that you will try to do these things. So it will like reflect that you have added a little more time when you're writing the proposal to these dissemination activities. The final thing is that you mentioned that meetings will be held with the stakeholders once in 4 months. So quarterly you're going to have the meetings, but the purpose of the meeting is not mentioned here. So purpose of the meeting should also be mentioned, a probable purpose. Definitely at the start of the proposal, you cannot say that after like 24 months, your particular meeting will be based on that particular thing, but you can have a probability that maybe in your Gantt chart, this is the activity that you will be performing at the end of your 24-month, and definitely you will be discussing those particular results with the stakeholder at that particular time. So you should mention that also if it is possible for you. Now we come to the budgeting. Budgeting is very important part of the NLPU projects and the other projects that we are offered. In budgeting, avoid using these things. Now I get this thing from our principal investigator that he or she is going to buy something from Alibaba. So Alibaba is definitely not a reliable source. So you should consult, as I said earlier in my presentation, you should consult with your university, with your institute, that what are the rules by which you can actually try to procure the things. So only providing the amount that's mentioned in Alibaba is incorrect. So avoid using these things. We usually do these mistakes when we have very short time, but try to put some more time and get quotations from very reliable equipment supplier, which should be like very relevant to your research proposal and very authentic, because we cannot buy things directly from Alibaba. I don't think so. It depends on your institutional capacity, but I don't think so. So avoid giving such examples in budgeting. We know what's Gantt chart. This must be very concise. This must show that you're not providing, not trying to focus like very little or very much to a particular objective. So we all understand about the Gantt chart, and all your activities must be mentioned in this. Reference management, nowadays we all are very much familiar to Mendeley and EndNote softwares. So try to use these softwares, because at any time if you are to revise your proposal based on the discussion that you're doing with the industrial partner or the academic collaborator, and you can do it easily. So please use the reference management softwares. And all our faculty now is trained on these in Pakistan, is trained on these citation styles and consistency within by using these software. We should also incorporate our students into this training, and we should teach them about the referencing style also. Now, some of the additional information required: available facilities that we have in our institution that are well publicized, maybe on your website, all your facilities that you have, because we feel proud in our institutions. Everyone in our institutions feel proud that we have this particular equipment or this particular skill that we have in our institute, and we mentioned that on website. So if something is mentioned on your website, that's easily available to the reviewer also. So the reviewer can also consider that if they have a particular machine, why they are asking it for one more time in the requested proposal. So you should like be realistic that if you have a certain equipment, do not try to repeat it for procurement until you have a proper justification, because sometimes if we have a particular equipment that's very much busy, you can provide the time schedule that's for that particular instrument, and then justify the need of another instrument. So you should be like more focused on this. You can also be asked about the work plan or the business plan. Just like in TDF, you have to provide a business plan. So this is also important as an additional information if you are writing something similar to TDF. You must get the industrial support letter with some support in kind or cash for applied research, and for basic research it could be something different. but you must have the industrial support letter, but that must reflect that the industry was involved when you are writing the proposal, and these are the particular roles that are your industrial partner is going to perform. You must write dissemination activities of the outcome. We discuss about the dissemination activities and how we should write the dissemination activities in a proper way, or in a better way, I should say. Justify every single equipment, because justification is very important. So the rubrics say that you have a reviewer has reviewed that the justification is proper. So the reviewer gives you good marks if you have justified the equipment. Only the need of equipment is not enough, but the justification with that equipment or the requirement of that equipment is more important for this. Then the personnel required, just like your co-PI is working with you, or the personnel that you engage in your university or institute is also important. So you should write the need of that personnel, or if he or she has a particular skill which you do not have, or the involvement of that particular, you should actually write the justification in this. I would suggest you to have a separate stock register, because finally when you complete all your research proposal and provide the final progress report to Higher Education Commission or any other funding agency, they ask you to provide them a copy or a photocopy of your stock register. So do not mix the things with other things, that because if you have lab, you may have a lot of things coming to your lab and their entries may be on the stock register. So I will suggest you to have separate stock registers for each single funding projects you have, because at the end it will be very easier for you to provide to HEC or any other funding source. Okay, justify your salary and the time commitment. For example, I am PI in a project. I may not mention that I would contribute 100% of my time or 70% of my time, because I have to justify myself as an associate professor. I have to do a lot of other things in my institute. So you have to justify the commitment that you make with HEC, and you have to stick to that particular commitment. So justify your salary and provide the commitment that you are doing. Think before you are writing for PhD and postdoc students, because we may get, I don't know about the situation at every single institute in Pakistan, but I'm sharing my experience to you that we get a lot of master's students easily, but when we are trying to get PhD and postdoc students, it becomes a little harder for us. So in one of my proposals, I mentioned that I'll be having a master's student in the first year and the second year of the project, and then I'll be having a PhD student in first, second, and third year of the project, because the funding for the PhD student was for 3 years and funding for master's student was for 2 years. But unfortunately, due to certain reasons, I did not get a PhD student in my project. So if I say that I do not get PhD student in my project, and I cross all these PhD students mentioned in my project, so I'm stuck in my third year. I'm very much stuck in my third year, because the master's students I had was in my first year, was in my second year, but in my third year I had no master's students. But I unfortunately could not get a PhD student in whole of my proposal, so I had to manage a lot of things. So finally in the third year I did not had any PhD student, and I currently do not have a master's student. So when you are writing about the PhD and postdoc students, you should be very much like involved in discussing these things with your potential students and the students that you have in your department. So you should not get stuck at the end of your proposal. So you should consider these things. Your review system is not double blind, because it may not be double blind, because your CV is reflecting the skills that you have. So your CV is available with the reviewer. So the reviewer can actually go to your website if you have if you have created your own website, or you have mentioned a lot of things in your CV, so he can or she can come across with the skills that you have, and he can have better access on your website and your lab and the facilities that you have. So whatever you have as an institutional capacity, do not try to repeat the things until you have properly justified the need of that particular equipment. So the reviewer can also visit the website and all these things. Now, in as far as the role of universities is concerned, universities must start bridging collaborations between various sectors within the supply chain. They can have a lot of industries coming to your university, ask them to come, have meetings with you, have meetings with your faculty, and that's the platform that you provide to your faculty members, that you invite a lot of people from the industry and get them in touch, get them on a single platform so your industry can react with the people, because it's hard for the faculty members. It may be hard. I don't know. Some of the faculty members regularly visit the industries and the society and look for the challenge what they have, but certain faculty members may face it little more difficult. So the university can have a platform where you can call upon those people from the industries and gather with you and discuss the things and the possibilities that these are the socio-economic development channels we can work with. Then you have to create a system for the research projects operation, because in universities we have to get a lot of approvals, lot of audits, and the time available from the staff, time available within the institution, that your institution is opening at these hours and closing at these hours. So you should have a proper system of providing help to your researchers or supporting your researchers by actually trying to reduce the approvals if you can, and trying to make ease for them for procurement of the materials, and also promote and showcase some of the researches that your researchers have done and reward them, so that you can actually incorporate a lot of research culture into your system. So these things can be a part of as a role from the universities. So this was all from my side. Thank you very much for listening me, and over to Professor Bhavani Shankar sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Karsato. A wonderful presentation. And I think even I learned so many things, especially you mentioned about storytelling. You know, even yesterday I was giving a talk in Dean's Conference, third Pakistan Engineering Council Dean's Conference. I even mentioned about this. I said I'm talking to you about a story which we created 4 months ago about the pride. Dr. Zishan Khatri attended that meeting, and how we established, gathered 40 PhDs, mostly young, in Karachi to form the thematic group, and we call it Pakistan Research Initiative for Development of Excellence. And now more than 80 faculty has joined, and we have received a very big international sort of platform where those all researchers can collaborate with each other. It's not open only to engineering. This is engineering, sciences, even finance, because as you mentioned, that when you write a proposal, you need a good business plan and how to write them. And Dr. Zain also mentioned the same. So all these things we have getting the advantage of today's this seminar. Just give a message. If you search IdeaGist and our pride, you find the portal where you have a huge playing field. Who is working in your area, how to collaborate, what is your idea, how you get funding. Some of the it requires another 1 hour time to talk on that one. But yesterday I talked on that one in Dean's Conference, and recording available on PEC website. So before it's 12:40 is getting, I think one hand is raised. Let's have, I don't know whether we can allow him. Please raise your hand if you have any question. Fahim, my helping hand is there. Dr. Fahim Khawad, please allow, we can have few questions because of the Friday time. As I said, other questions, comment can be sent in the box, and we may have 10 IEEE rewards for them as well. So if you allow Jamil Ahmed Gadahi, he is there connected, is asking some question there.
Sir, I have allowed him.
Jamil has raised hand. So I think, can you unmute his mic? Let me try.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Professor
Walaikum salam.
Bhavani Shankar Saab, thank you. And I must appreciate Dr. Iftikhar Saab for the nice presentation. It was something that was really needed. I just have two parts of my question. One is appreciation that such webinars are a real need of the time and maybe repeated again and again to get more and more of our faculty involved and in order to that they can learn the things that are really important and decisive in project winning. And the second part is the question from Dr. Iftikhar Saab. Actually, I many times that I have been trying to apply for the projects. It's really a type of hectic that how should I decide? For example, how much percentage of time I could really give being an associate professor. I just mean, what is the meaning of my question is that is there a standard or what are the rules of thumb to justify to write that I can give 10% while I can give 50% or 60% of the time? How to decide and what are the, for example, ranges for a professor, for an assistant or an associate professor in this regard? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Jamil Ahmed Saab, for your question. Actually, there is no rule of thumb for that, and there are no rubrics to assess, but they are like it could be qualitative. For example, just like you, I'm also an associate professor. Now, I have my weekly schedule with me. I have two courses. I have a particular practical to perform. I have certain duties to be performed within the institute, within my department. So I can, if I see myself that I am providing 50% of my time that's available in my university to the things that I'm doing for my teaching, then I can also provide 50% of time NRPU. But it's up to you. You can give up to your 50% to a particular project. So when we are reviewing certain projects, we do not see that how maximum time is provided by the researcher. We are not expecting that you provide more than 50% of time or more than 40% of the time, whatever time your commitment is. Your proposal must reflect that if you are trying to commit even 10% of your time and you have like maybe 40 hours in your week and you only provide 10% of your time, so you are only providing 4 hours. Will these 4 hours will be effective to complete the objectives of your proposal or not? We are not concerned that the person should provide all those 40%, 40 hours to our project. It's not the case. Even if you're providing only 10% of your commitment, 10% of your time to the proposal, it should reflect that all these things that you take on your part, that I'll as a principal investigator will be doing or completing these objectives, they should be synchronized. I should see that, okay, if we provide 4 hours a week, so maybe in a month time, he can complete all these objectives. So this is why we accommodate a lot of researchers and we shift our skills to the researchers, because they are the ones who are doing the things in the lab. We are for the discussions, we are to teach them, but the more time is provided by the research students. So they should have more time compared to the principal investigator. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We go to the next question. Khalid bin Mohammed, let me unmute. Is that unmute? Allow to unmute. So Dr. Khalid bin Mohammed, can you unmute your mic?
Yes, I have unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, please introduce
Oh,
yourself and then ask the
okay.
question, please.
Okay. I am. My name is Khalid bin Mohammed. I am basically an engineer, and currently doing my PhD thesis. I am also a member of IEEE Executive Committee and other societies as well. My question is general. Has the current pandemic affected the research grant opportunities and fundings?
I think I would reply for that one. I think pandemic has created more opportunities, I would say. There have been opportunities from IEEE, there have been opportunities from EU, there have been opportunities from Turkish government, special from Pakistan Science Foundation, Ignite. I think there has been more opportunities. It's only one has to tap. You may recall even two people, one fresh graduate of Karachi University and another one, Prakash Loana and his team, they applied, they got $5,000 roughly for some COVID related project. And I have been looking, even some of the undergraduate students, they received some UN grant of 75,000 rupees. Two projects they applied, three applied, two of them received grant. So I think worldwide there are more opportunities.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
We may go to the next one.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Mohammad Nasir. Uh, I don't know, Dr. Sania Usmani, if we can unmute her. Dr. Mohammad Mohsen, and then we can go to Dr. Usmani.
Hello.
Yes, we can listen. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. It's Dr. Mohammad Mohsin Nazir. I am Associate Professor from Lahore College for Women, University Lahore. I am heading the Software Engineering Department here. I have a couple of maybe suggestions because HEC persons are involved here. The funding application in Pakistan have a lot of things to do.
Let me interrupt. I'm sorry, we are running out of time because Friday prayers. I think if you give me the suggestion in writing, either my mail or I'm being a commission member, I will submit them.
Sure.
Detailed comments. I think here particular question to the speaker, that would be because this is only with those who have attended and the session with the speaker. So
okay,
if you have got any question with the speaker,
I will email you. You can take the next question, please.
Right. So if you have any other question, otherwise we can go to Dr. Sania. Please unmute your mic.
Assalamualaikum, sir. My name is Dr. Sania Osmani and I'm from IOBM. I'm assistant professor at IOBM in the management and HR department. I hope I'm audible to all of you.
Yeah, we audible, but you have to speak
Madam.
little bit up, but audible.
Okay. Actually, I have a question instead. I wanted to know if it's available or not. Is there a database that is available for such, research proposals? The successful ones and the ones that have been accepted and implemented successfully. That kind of a database where we can have those sample research proposals and we can look at them and we can look at the process as well, and we can look at the different stages through which they have been passed and have they been implemented or not. So this is the question.
I got the point. That's really good question. Dr. Iftikhar, you would like to answer or may I answer that one?
Sir, I think it is more related to Higher Education Commission because all these project proposals are initially submitted to Higher Education Commission. They are reviewed by them, and the technical report that's submitted at every year's end to the Higher Education Commission, they can make it public. It's up to them. And as far as I have 3 projects, so until I complete all these projects, definitely I cannot on my own share the details with everyone until I have published something. So in that particular, after that particular period, I can publish my data and I can mention. So, but on the part of HEC can let people know that these are the projects which have been approved and these are the thematic areas which we are focusing on. So HEC can share the details, of course, but HEC has to do it.
I think Dr. Sonia has really raised a very, very important question. As long I have been external reviewer of Ignite or ICT R&D and the Science Foundation and HEC as well, before even becoming this commission member. So in Ignite, yes, when the project is completed and Science Foundation it is completed, Ignite used to put complete proposal there at the on their website once it's completed. Once it is in the review process or first year or second year, they usually don't put. But for HEC, I haven't seen any database that even after completion, the list is available sometime, but I didn't see any complete proposal. Being a reviewer, we used to get, some of the proposals, we go through them, we learn a lot from them. So I suggest they always need a good reviewers, and there's a dearth of reviewers. Just it's not related to the directly related to question. Let me quickly add, like I'm reviewer of 95 international impact factor journals, but because of that reviewer, it's not that even I don't sometimes do review. I get it first done from my juniors and then I polish them. But because of that, I'm getting offer that why don't you become a guest editor or chief editor of this impact factor journal. So synchronizing that point, actually, if you become a reviewer, HEC always asks if you send your CV being a reviewer and you come into limelight and you get 3 4 projects to be reviewed and you learn so many things. Like Dr. Iftikhar mentioned, so many real case study that normally I reviewed many proposals. They have mentioned that they are going to hire 2 PhD student, 3 master's student, and it's coming third year. They never hired any single, and they say it has been very difficult. We can't find a student. They are not applying. Good student. They are going abroad. So things like that. So one has to keep those things in mind. Or sometime equipment, they say, oh no vendor is providing equipment. It's not available in Pakistan. Project started in 2015 and it has gone into 2020. Still, they haven't procured the equipment. I saw some of the cases came for the review. One has to look into all these aspects he has mentioned. But I think if you give me a suggestion in writing or just in the chat box, it's a really good suggestion from Dr. Sania Usmani that those projects who have been successfully completed or their final reports have been submitted, they should be made public so people industry could know what type of projects have done and developed, or they should get benefit. So I think it's a very good suggestion from there.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
So
Just one more thing.
okay.
Please, send a sample proposal if you have one, just one sample proposal.
I think ORIC has got some of your ORIC, as Dr. Zainul Abdin said, it varies so many factors. I remember in 2008, I was traveling for a year to UK. Believe me, one of my research assistant, he brought a proposal. He brought at the airport. I can name the title of the project. Many people done PhD. Even one candidate from Malaysia, he came and he did PhD on that on that equipment in 2018 under joint collaboration. I was a co-supervisor. He did PhD from UTM. So I just blindly, honestly, because he was a research associate, I couldn't have time. I just did photo reading. I signed on because of the importance of the subject. It was free space optics communication, such a emerging field at that time. So once I reached, I was coming back after 1 year from England, but I think I spent 6 months there, and I got later that my project has got approved. I received that letter at university, and once I came back, I signed all the documents, bond, and all that, and submitted that project. And the equipment is still working condition. The university and some master student are still working on it. It's all completed, its phases, and final certificate was received. So it varies, the expertise, as Dr. Zain said, in your own universities, peer review, really, like institution like IOBM, I know so many experts are there, but just one has to go for extra mile and take out of that time. That is the important. But like someone has asked, a very good question asked about the time, how much time you have to give that, and Dr. Iftikhar really wonderfully replied to that question. But I would say for all these practical purposes, really one has to go for extra mile. These are not conventional things, doing research under such a, environment, I won't say harsh environment, enabling environment is missing almost every place. We have to ourselves create such enabling environment. So I think we go for another question. There's a Dr. Kurtulan Sheikh. Let's have some gender balance. I don't know. Her mic is. Let me unmute. Hello. Okay, she's unmuted. Please, Dr. Kurtulan.
Hello, assalamu alaikum everyone.
Walaikum salam. We can hear you.
Listening?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for organizing such nice and informative session, and thank you to Dr. Iftikhar for nice presentation and details. Actually, my question is, I am basically the chemist, and I'm working as assistant professor at Shahid Benazir Bhutto University in Nawabshah. And my question is related to the some categories of the research area, as the HEC provides the NRPUs in the basic and the applied research. And as a chemist, if we are going to write the some project on the basic studies, as a chemist, if we are going to working on the some development of the chemical reactions, and chemical reactions, or as I also work on the some drug designing, and if we are going to design a drug, it takes so many years in such projects. And for me, I find a very huge difficulty to connect such type of projects with the socio-economic benefits in Pakistan. That is majorly considered the main area for an NRPU to be considered. And I do have difficulty in that area. As a chemist, if we are going to design projects some chemical reaction development, how I connect it with my socio-economic.
Madam, let me interrupt you. If you need any help, any pharmaceutical company in Karachi, I can interact. I know a good one of the pharmaceutical university. I know the vice chancellor, Dr. Jalbani, and I think I can help you to interact with one of the big pharmaceutical company in Karachi. If you, yes, we can solve that problem. So I think we have taken good questions. Last question from Dr. Qasim Mehman. I think hand is raised. Dr. Qasim. Already asked by Dr. Qasim. I don't know. Dr. Iftikhar, can you unshare your presentation? Can you stop sharing so I can request Professor Dr. Tariq Sumro, who is the acting rector IOBM and the vice chancellor, vice chair IEEE Karachi section, to say a word of thanks. But before that, I would like to share Shield 1 minute if I could do that one. Virtual Shield, we are having virtual session. So let me try if I could be successful. I don't know whether it's placed there or not. Can we see?
Yes, sir, we can. Yes, sir, we can see.
So it is actually just token of appreciation, but I'm sure I will go for real shields for everyone, for our speaker as well as our the vice chancellor Sahaba, who has given opening remarks, for Dr. Iftikhar, and also Dr. Iftikhar. Definitely it is virtual, but we'll go for real, and Dr. Zainal Abdin, Dr. Mari Saab, he's stuck up with some of the Chartered Inspection Evaluation Committee meeting, so I'm not sure he's going to join. And for Dr. Tariq Sumro, so, and also our helping hands, Dr. Fahim, Dr. Anjum, and I'm grateful to people who are working at the back end, those design the posters, Dr. Jatin Salman, and all those people. So with that appreciation, I will go back to Dr. Sumro Saab, Tariq Sumro Saab, for his
Thank you very
word
much,
of
sir.
thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of IEEE Karachi section, I'm very much thankful to Professor Dr. Bushra Mirza for her opening remarks and for her time. I'm very much thankful to Dr. Zainul Abidin, the Director General HEC, for his important, presentation on the research grant opportunities which are available from the HEC platform. I'm really thankful to Dr. Iftikhar Ali for his impressive and informative presentation. Hope all the participants will be getting benefit from them. I learned a lot from this presentation. Thank you so much, Dr. Iftikhar. I'm also thankful to Dr. Fateh Muhammad Mari, but he was not able to join for his consent, for his cooperation. I am thankful to the representatives from participating universities who are there from 11 to 1. I am also very thankful to all the participants from all the universities and from industry, because without them, these events are not possible. So I can see in the beginning we have more than 150 participants, and then now around 100 plus participants are still there. And last but not the least, I am thankful to Dr. Bhavani Shankar Chaudhary Saab, the chair IEEE Karachi section, for organizing such a important and timely event. So everyone, once again, a big thank you from IEEE Karachi section. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Tariq Rahim Sumro, Vice Chair, IEEE Karachi section, and the Acting Director, IOBM. I'm also thankful to all the participants. It's that this show is because of them. And as Dr. Tariq Rahim Sumro already mentioned, 150 participants at one point of time, and now we are having around 100 participants. I mean, most of the time I was looking 95, 100, 85. So I'm sure that they will get benefit. The recording, we will make it available at Mehran IEEE portal as well as Mehran portal. I would request Dr. Fahim, please note all the suggestion in the chat box, and please have the list ready. Let's send them from IEEE Karachi section a participation certificate as well. I think Madam Anjum will also remind us, and I think Madam, she has been coordinating, and actually the request came from Lahore College, University of Women. That's why we are gathered together. So I would like Madam को कहेंगे कि कुछ words कहें. Dr. Fahim, can you unmute Dr. Anjum Tahira? Can you?
Sure, sir. Sure.
मैडम आप अनम्यूट कर लें, माइक अपना देखें, अनम्यूट हो रहा है? नहीं हो रहा है. Fahim, Dr. Fahim?
Sir, I cannot find her.
Okay, I got her. I got allow to unmute. मैडम मैंने आपको अलो कर दिया, अनम्यूट करें.
सर बहुत शुक्रिया, मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करती हूँ. मेरे लिए आज ये पहला दिन है इस डायरेक्टरेट फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट एंड इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन की तरफ से लाहौर कॉलेज फॉर वुमेन यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए, और मेरे लिए गोया के एक ये ख्वाब की हैसियत रखता है कि कैसे यकीनन ये एक मेरे लिए मिरेकल था कि I was just attending a webinar on funding proposals. I just texted Dr. Javed Memon and I asked him I need some help. I need some more help about funding sessions. तो उन्होंने मुझे आपकी तरफ आपका जो है वो टेक्स्ट किया और उनका बहुत कोऑपरेशन थी. उन्होंने शाम को मुझे रिमाइंड करवाया, आपके साथ बात हुई, एंड देन आई took the approval from वाइस चांसलर साहिबा, और उनका बहुत शुक्रिया कि उन्होंने फौरन उसको इजाजत मुझे दे दी, और उसके बाद उन्होंने भी कोऑपरेट किया फॉर ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स. और ये हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए और इंटर लिंकेजेस के लिए, इंटर यूनिवर्सिटी पाकिस्तान के अंदर, ये हमारे आपस में नेक्स्ट टाइम के लिए, फ्यूचर के लिए बहुत अच्छे कोलैबोरेटिव सेशंस होने के लिए ये एक संगे मील की हैसियत रखता है. I was not expecting कि इतने अच्छे तरीके से आपकी तरफ से कोऑपरेशन होगी और हमारी वाइस चांसलर की तरफ से होगी. ये हमारे लिए, आपके लिए और पाकिस्तान की तमाम यूनिवर्सिटीज के लिए और खासतौर पे HEC इस प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर हमारी यूनिवर्सिटीज को इकट्ठे देखना चाहता है, फैसिलिटेट करना चाहता है, वो सारी चीजें जो है वो मुझे इसमें बहुत अच्छी तरह से जो है वो दिखाई दी है। थैंक यू सो वेरी मच।
मैडम बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। देखें, हमारा काम यही है कि हम जो है ना लोगों के लिए आसानियां पैदा करें, और हम हर वक्त यही सोचें कि कल जो है ना हाउ वी कैन मेक टुमारो बेटर देन टुडे, नॉट ओनली फॉर आवर सेल्फ, for our institutions, for our communities, for our societies, for our industries, for our country and around the globe. तो हम इसी मैसेज के साथ इसको एंड करते हैं, और इंशाल्लाह मैं दुआ करता हूँ, सब लोग हम दुआ करते हैं कि इससे फायदा होगा, हमारी सोसाइटी को भी फायदा होगा, अच्छे प्रोजेक्ट आएंगे, अच्छे प्रोजेक्ट सबमिट होंगे जिसका एक सोसाइटल इम्पैक्ट होगा। विद दीज वर्ड्स आई थिंक हम जुमे नमाज के प्रयास का टाइम भी हो रहा है, और रिकॉर्डिंग हम अवेलेबल करेंगे ताकि और लोग भी उससे बेनिफिट लें। और थैंक यू वेरी मच एंड
Sir, I would like to request everyone to turn on the webcam so that we can
that's good
capture
idea.
the memories.
Right. So you take several
आप शेयरिंग बंद कर, डॉक्टर साहब आप शेयरिंग बंद कर दें, तो then everybody can be seen.
So it will be part of the recording, and we would like everyone to turn on the cam for maybe 30 seconds or 35 seconds.
Dr. Shankar, could you please turn off the sharing so that all people can be seen?
Okay. One turn off sharing. Where is that one? This stop sharing. Okay. Is that okay now, Doctor?
Yes. Please, Dr. Iftikhar, if you can turn on the webcam, we would like you to be part of the.
Yeah, sure.
You are the center of this program.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
A very nice presentation.
I put my glasses on. I don't know. My wife likes me to take glasses always.
So you look handsome in it. Thank you everyone. I hope we will have a good session next time as well, if given the opportunity.
Thank you very much, everyone. It was a wonderful support team that we had. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Allah
Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz.